My name is David Reed, and Karen and Sue have asked me to welcome you to Mythos. It has been 3 years since Jeremy has made an appearance of this kind, and during this time he has written, he believes, the best poetry he has ever written. I'll tell you or remind you of a little more about the years preceding that. His first novel, Drive You Sad, a prize winner, subsequently adapted into a film directed by Jack Nicholson. Jeremy is the principal speechwriter for the insurgent candidate Eugene McCarthy. He subsequently wrote The Candidate, a film starring Robert Redford, still the classic American political film of the last 50 or 60 years. For this, he was given an Academy Award. But an anthology about L.A. I edited called Sex, Death, and God. Jeremy contributed Rack's Rules, a short story, which Diane Johnson has said is the one essential piece of writing for anyone aspiring to go to Hollywood and succeed as a screenwriter. Welcome, Jeremy Larner.
This is called Fortune Cookie. Originally, of course, it was just my effort to compile a list of superior fortunes in these cookies. I imagined somebody would buy this from me and make a fortune baking these new fortunes into cookies, but so far it hasn't happened, and it's been 45 years, I guess. When others talk, the wise man appears to listen. You will meet your true love, but you won't know her. Your car has been stolen. The water is running in your tub. Soon you will go to a party and be sorry. When you go to the restroom, the others at your table make fun of you. Now is the time to undertake great tasks. But what are they? Chinese people find you an ill-mannered lout. No need to worry. All difficulties iron out in laundry, now or later, lost or found or after owner moves or dies. No matter. No ticket, no wash, but wise man doesn't mind. Wisdom arrives too late. Store closed, work done, sun low, bus gone, but you enjoy anyhow. You better off. Thank you. Now here's a poem I wanted to read early on. It's about the death of a very dear friend of mine called Hole in the Ice. Investigators found a hole in the ice 50 yards downhill from Nancy and Ira's weekend house. From inside the frozen pond, they brought forth Ira's frozen dog, Ira's wife Nancy, and ice blue Ira, in his shorts and slippers, suggesting he'd been in the house, watching Sunday football games he always bet on. When he heard Nancy scream and charge down the hill, I hope without a thought, because it's all done now. And if he stopped to reflect that no one climbs out from a hole in the ice, it just keeps cracking, well, Ira went down to the bottom of the hill, to the bottom of the lake, where he froze, faster than a thought, plunging down, not stopping, and over the brink of oblivion, outrunning his dread in those fleet seconds when I think Ira knew he would have known, and did not stop nor slow a step as his one and only life funneled down that hole in the ice. Open for him as it gapes for you and me, no matter if we see it yawning or know what in hell we see or fail to see. When I try to think of Ira, I hear slow cars now and then crunching across the country bridge. See nightfall, stars in winter sky, freezing time pass before they came and saw chill moon dangling, black hole in the ice, dog toy nearby. Here's a poem about advice. It's called Advice. Advice. I think you'll recognize it. Funny how the advice we give others is always terrifically good. But even if they say so, they won't follow it as they should. Whereas advice we give ourselves is merely hope in disguise. And the advice that others give us, we either tolerate or despise. Well, here's a more serious one. It's about a medical condition called Akathesia, which I had for about 10 days. I hope it defines itself as I go along. Like one tripping on a crack in the sidewalk as he drops a bag of groceries, he pitched past the point where illness preoccupies, never mind the trifle of probable cause, the anti-nausea pill pressing a button of aberrant reaction, or his inability to get his groceries one by one back in the sack, needing full mental powers, no room for imagined catastrophe or calculation of passing pleasure. Before this, so automatic, so relatively self-correcting, but now his nerve-struck discords, the stabbing pains like lights on a pinball machine, and worse, the seething restlessness that denied repose in one position, driving him at night from bed to floor to couch to several kinds of chair, a minute each until his body dragged him up and away. No reading, writing, computing, or TVing served him to transcend. Nor did little pills, which merely multiplied the churning. All day hop-hopping like a bunny, trapped tight in the state of his bunny tail, or the garden fence he fell against, until late at night he conked out, but jolted awake some hours later, unable to tolerate his pose 1 second longer. He hopped once more to piss, and in cold, half-waking, half-dreaming, compared himself to Viagra victim, unable to dis-erect, only no 9/11 number, and the job of removing his pajama bottom while pissing, a piece of overweening engineering failure. Yet onward he bounced, through whatever day or night, no time even for faith that all things end, and this too would be over, oneself on the other side, except that rabbit in his brain. Was the brain even his? The seed blossomed in death's hand like a flower, or in his ongoing fancy, where the dog of death chased the bopping bunny rabbit around the mulberry bush and up against the fence. Keep on a hoppin', little bopper, but what matter, pitter patter? Here's a poem I wrote when I first started working on poetry in 1987. I came to it late. I realized it was going around in my head all these years. This is called Outside the Party, and I wanted to read something from my early days when I wrote in many different styles. Outside the party, I heard her scream. I did not visibly react, not knowing them, just kept walking to my car. I'll just shut up, she screamed. Who cares what I think? Without looking up, he moved to shelter her between the shadow of the tree and his own bent body as I passed under the streetlight. She screamed again, her thrilling voice, clear as a bell, cut through the night around them. What in hell do you want from me? You never tell me anything. Not one single fucking thing. Her words then got muffled as if in suffocation. When I looked back, he had moved to embrace her, to hold on for dear life, to shut her up so he could get away. And maybe, after all these ravaged days, months, and years, still the cry for her within him. This is titled, In the Lodgepole Cafe. She crosses her legs cunningly. I feel the pull of her panties as they stretch the small curls tighter. Smell them rising from my lips to my brain, or is it the other way around? A whiff of smoke from the fireplace. Can I do anything for you? Says a waitress so close I jump. Oh yes, throw a log on the fireplace, please, with your dainty hands or with your teeth. Title of this one is Mr. Parkinson Tries to Rhyme. And it's based on the idea of syncopated rhythm or gaps in a rhythmic line, which is kind of a metaphor you can extend in many directions, I hope. Mr. Parkinson Tries to Rhyme. My fingers shaking on the keys put blanks into the words I type, like clams in a lame piano where the notes are never ripe, like spaces between incurious eyes or between a zebra's every stripe. Oh, how that shaky vibrato flames the blood to blister me. My whole right side doth vibrate like a parsnip in a pear tree. A repetition of the non-first rate, or needling grains of wind-sharp sand on the beach where I no longer lie. Or loves so lost to time that how love lasted is now the mystery, the lost rhyme between time's regrets. A cow reduced to spots on cowhide. A mammalian female chews her cud, spits cross-eyed with a tiny thud against a picket fence become a wall to keep rash geezer stuck outside, who otherwise would call between the slats into the garden to one who never would give pardon. Your bus is here, get on, step, step, and rest. Put coin in, not enough. Dig into the never-ending pocket of your vest. Take seat, a kind busybody releases. Cough to syncopate my wheezes. The bus goes blockety, blockety, push, pull, block, block, block. Contrapuntally, I step from upstairs down. Ever careful not to pitch, I give myself a dancer's airs as I fall into an open ditch. I do my rhythmic drag walk, which goes tockety, tick, tick, tock, ouch, tockety. A partly destroyed insect, Mr. West would describe me, shambling forth in my Sunday best. I felt I was about to die, but I got the medicine. My demise was disrupted without sneeze or sigh. And streetward I once more sally. Can I believe my lying eyes? Ain't it queer one fine morning sky? The bus stop's still here, but where am I? A ghost blast of staticky laughter follows fast, then what's thereafter? Laugh, clown, laugh, 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 choke. A passerby asks, what's the funny joke? An atom missing in his DNA gives the speed of lightning, say, to something lost along the way. I go on laughing, almost as before. Choke, stop, laugh, laugh some more. Shake and rattle, my aging soul's winters, as the new nonlinear printers vibrate in chaotic rhythm and spit out fresh poems in a shower of splinters. Wait. As the dandelion shakes its snowy head, a seed storm floats and high clouds form a bed like a combed head of hair, while milk pod stalks stand rooted, bald and near dead, till a flash of silk parachutes blasts from wounded heads, sails to the half horizon and falls in fields of mud and hungry weeds, as sweet spring arrives, sparkling and fiddling with brand new rhythms and speeds. With one last cough, I, ever a trier, in spasms of hope not to expire, rumble in broken diddling, till word comes flying, the gods will interrupt my dying, for sake of desperate new poetic deeds. And that's the end. At the Oakland Clinic, the nurse arrives to put me under, and I say, you are not a doctor. What if you make a mistake? What happens then? Oh, she recites, we are ready for that. We call 911. An ambulance arrives to rush you away. Hey, I say, a lottery ticket. How did you know at this late date I still want to play? Quiet, fool. This whole thing is a lottery. That is all it is and all it ever will be. Call right away, I say. 911. Tell them I feel the worms crawl. But it is only the doctor come at last. Ever have that feeling? I think you don't have to be my age to have it anyway. It's the hospital feeling. Here's lines for lines for my dog collar. Apologies to Alexander Pope if I told you his his couplet, mine would suffer. I'd rather be a dog or howl from the dog within than sing one note in a voice dogs can't hear. I hate to repeat myself, but I've had 3 requests to read this one again. It's the Outworn Show poem. And in my concept of Outworn Show, it's show is decoration, like costumes or clothing, or I'm using it as aspects of your personality that you needed before but you don't need anymore. It's outworn, it's used up. I actually annotated this particular poem. I really liked it. I've never annotated a poem before, but if you really like it, tell me about it and I'll send you the annotated version for your amusement. The idea was to make something that adds to the pleasure, like as the notes do in The Ancient Mariner. And I was thinking of how one day I swam in the very buoyant waters in the bay in Rio de Janeiro and saw sunset there and a storm across the waters. And because the last image is where these outworn vestiges of my former self, they float away from me on the surface of the water. So that's how it all ties up. sketchy explanation, but better than nothing, maybe.
Nice vision.
Okay, in Outworn Show, the man I am no longer melts down around me, hangs on my bones, as slowly I lumber through ebbs and tides of inward pleasure, confusing those who once knew me, though briefly as a doorhold for a cripple. Gone from sight, never mind. Bypassers shrink from reminders of the out-of-sight night, which soon enough draws the covers on ourselves and our toenails, the moisture we daily deliquesce, the wrenching urgencies which blur our purpose. Time now for things we love and leave behind, as poems where pleasure hides in honed attention, until the moment flickers as the setting sun sends darts of light from darkening waves. I blink, I twitch, I lose connection, wake once more in singularity, where stumbles accumulate on the trail of the frame of the rapidly moving particular person I once was, before my nerves began their long abrasion, and tremors shook discords down my so-called structure, false signals of disaster to those once pleased to come to me. Eat, as the poet says, from my hand. But now affrighted, receding in a wake of late slow silence, a long velvet night where stars sing to me and lightning flashes on the dark horizon, showing rows of ocean as the breeze runs fresh and true. I'm free as a swimmer, stripped bare of disguises. They sail from me in grand procession, skimming the depths, surging on swells, drifting in hollows. They take on water and drown in the dark. On the phone. And that leads me to my next poem, which is simple. It's called Phone Note. Jeremy, we have a bad connection. Yes, we do. That's our protection. This is a dream. I used to write a lot of poems from dreams, and this one was just a few years ago. Very odd and vivid dream. I don't know what to make of it. Maybe somebody can interpret it for me. Waking from nightmare. There is a refugee hippie town in Mexico where secret beat and super beat epics circulate. Much crazier, broader, and funnier than the beat poetry that plods in memory. One epic written by me, and I am to read it from a cockpit dangling high above the teeming crowd, jamming the broad streets under trolley cables, assembled for Holy Carnival, urging me on. Only where the hell is it? My poem has been lost. Frantic to think where, but quick as ever I leap to improvise, saying I will perform another super colossal by a woman warrior, no, by two, both present, arms crossed, sure to be scowling whether I read bad or well, though ever scrambling, and to make up for every damn thing I lost or threw away, I intend to improve and extend their wild story to the sublime as I go along, and so it is announced to the jubilating throng. Shocks of pain in beginning as the text keeps slipping from one poem to another, each new to my eyes, and I pause, baffled, while outraged competitors shout nonsense words up from the dark. Yet I struggle ever onwards against the massive covers wrapping me as we move through real-life dioramas of past time in jungle and Arctic lands, with jolts of unexpected conflict and laughter. What a quest I must endure and fulfill, if only I could comprehend. My buffeted cockpit quavers, lurches, and dips, bouncing off wires, showering sparks upon the restless crowd, then jerks me high, shifts me to a narrow mountain ledge, and pushes me free. If only I could move. Freezing and extruded, abandoned, I can glimpse the far sun sinking behind Aztec peaks and pretend, if I can, it is rising. Odd voices chime in for the walrus, the polar bear, the angry male lobster, the bonneted donkey in a rowboat patiently knitting as water floods the sitting room. And a lightning storm obscures the sun's last rays. I had hoped to stun the world with moves not seen and voice not heard before, and unless this is a movie, all is lost, and none can follow my rare and brilliant counterstep recoveries. Where is the comfort and joy they expected, the high harmony and strange new combinations? I must cling to my vision of what I cannot quite visualize, what does not yet and may never exist, and read on all the same, adding my voice like a whisper in the wind, not give up almost knowing the dread climax to these shifting, contrived, feeble scenes where comedy draws no laughs, nor is the story elevated or coherent enough for tragedy, breaking down in one more phony Hollywood ending. I wake with my right hand shaking uncontrollably. How can I even type? That's it. I hope it's clear that the I of that poem is the I of the dream, which is. Here's a poem. I lost the keys to my house. I was locked out of my house, which has a high porch, where you can look down on the street. And I was waiting for my assistant to bring my keys, and she lives about half hour away. And I decided I would see if I could just keep writing a poem about what I saw from the porch the entire time, and I did. I'm going to leave out a stanza, but I did that, and here it is, mostly. Alone on the night porch. Oh, this was at night. This is first, number one, lost in calm. I stuck a weather vane into my front lawn, plunged deep into the loamy soil. Now when the air breathes through our neighborhood, bending young trees and stirring leaves, one end whirs and one end points, and I become one who knows which way the wind blows. But when there is no stir, the weather vane sits still, and I on my steps in the dark, as to how the thing works, which way it will point, sit stranded in ignorance, lost in calm. 2, locked out. In exhaustion and stupidity, no way I can go out tonight. And when I get back inside my own home, why, I will set my life in order, build a delicate shrine on which to leave my keys. The better to worship them and pray that once is enough, that they will never again leave me, or let my pocket depart without them, neatly inside. 3, an unknown man. In the dark of the street, a man comes along, carrying something, and when he thinks no one can see him, tries bouncing along the sidewalk under the dark rustle of leaves on a pogo stick. Hops 4 times and saves himself from toppling and crashing, and walks home whistling, released and in the clear. 4, not me. The man sits in his car, idling at a late night stop sign, and fear blows through me. He is casing my house, my lonely house, for a robbery. Should I run or stay porch bound? But a car from the other direction lights him up, and I see he is talking on his cell phone, imploring by his flash of face, for he's the one stuck, not me. 5, strange and unseen noises. One dog barks, then another, sending sound flares up the night. Then a howl like a banshee, eater of dogs on Halloween, and children who lag behind their modern moms, who take them house to house for candy. Bring it to us, the dogs howl. That would be dandy. Worlds collide. A neighbor woman can't get over it. Each night at 5 a.m. she wakes and goes running with her spotted dog. Passes my house and spies my desk light still on. Can the curmudgeon be awake and at it? Whatever. Impossible to believe I am snug in the sweet of the night, so tightly I might not even know it. 7, full moon. Full moon hanging sweet yellow in the sky over the night train tracks affects me not, doctors say, in my impulse or desire or whatever else may tug at my brain. Not really like the tide, they say, out in the bay, but tell me why I do stupid things, say lock myself out under moon's cool, steady gaze, so close I could reach out and touch that silver-shaded valley. And I think of women, the different smells of them, the way they stepped along the flowered margins of the night alley, through the trees and across the little park, holding my hand and gently colliding hip to hip, a bliss turned complicated soon enough, or late, but never mind. Some nights so worth it, I never will forget or regret those walks. Down the lane under the moon, so different from no moon at all. On scarier nights, when dumb turned dangerous, and shadows gave way to full-blown dark. 8. And at last, we go inside and lie down. That was in my question mark pile. All right, this is called Rainy Night Shivers. Drops of cold rain come tap, tap, tapping, silvering the trunks of bending trees, long before I think to hear them. My mind is chilled this rainy night. Online, I see a painting where lucid water flows downriver, trickles through a river and across a dining table, dribbles on the floor where a demon dog crouches. Red eyes burn into mine. Then real-life video, a country kitchen where a long hound sleeps among muddy boots. A teen brother and sister sit at the table in quiet glee of what's to come. And after many a joking false start and tune-up, the boy strums up a rumbling train, then expertly dampening, lays back his head and sings, "Don't want to march in your parade, don't want to play in your charade. I just can't follow your blown-up big man, just fight to live as best I can." And on and up into a triumph, their voices in exultant harmony. She brings to her lips a harmonica, and little sister can really play. They hit those final booming chords and nicely trail, as sweet a finish as ever a song will need to have. The two of them are just what they are this night, though young, clear voices must fade someday, like smoke in cold rain, and their song dissolve in new land yawp, or so tonight I think. My mood fights cold and freezing, I swoon, half giving in. Will it happen once more, I ask no one, since no one but me is here, save passing ghosts. Will I yet again come in from icy night to warmth of friend's kitchen, or think to know new wonder? No way, a chill breath whispers. on flesh of neck and down my bones. They haunt me tonight. The streets, the nighttime recollections, the rain of many cities, young lovers now old and gone. A mist rises from dank pavement. It clouds the swaying tops of ice-frozen trees, where faces form and fade. A flurry of chill wind blows a scatter of leaves on unseen graves. Down here inside, I sit in winter's shiver. That's a happy one. I'm going to go to this poem about a backyard beach umbrella. It's by contrast. It's called California Still Life, Morning in July. Our royal blue backyard beach umbrella, lined with white piping, tosses its wide scallops billowing over the swimming pool. In the morning's wind sweeping from the canyon and clapping up each gust like a trumpeting bull elephant, letting sun and shadow undulate across and within its bleached top and darker underside, then stops as if caught in the act of privately coming alive, and saw me see it stretching out its dew-stiff fibers in yet another morning's vacillating speckled sun. Furious at the state and station it never asked for, above this cozy suburban canyon, where pride prevents exposing its pain at not being able to come and go, as it may choose, while I, who can, in theory, might not choose such another waste of spirit, choosing another such place, knowing, as it cannot, how other places are, and having come to rest here, might well fear yet more endless, ambiguous possibilities. This proud and elderly umbrella cannot imagine, however intricate its warp and woof, and catch myself wishing for some new and different other place. But what's this? The lagging umbrella, sensing my slipping self-indulging mood, starts more madly flapping its defiance and will not stop, though I look as severe as can be, so sure of its own baronial, lonely singularity on the spot where it stands, enraged at sun and wind, which it can easily withstand all day to day and many more such mediocre days, only to be beaten down over many a summer like the mythic swan. So having nothing to lose, not giving one flying flap what I may see, I'm only one more loose bag lolling in and out of view, a brief unstable collation of irregular molecules and insinuated surf, puffing with relatively pitiful pips and pipings. Here it rears up in full fury, bucking and billowing from its lordly pinnacle, dominating the green gulf below, which drops off abruptly and rises up across the way, teeming with flora and fauna which can only creep and seethe in tiny variations of fragile and fleeting organic life, and wait and keep on creeping, knowing not one chlorophyllic thing, nor needing to, but neither can all its mulching crepuscular multiplication stop for now the bull umbrella from running through its colors and belting out its subtly shifting, lapping, baleful, kingly blast. Well, I'm gonna return to my book for one more. It just occurred to me I've never given a reading without reading this one. Called The Road Not Taken. It's a poem about my younger son. I have some advice the father said, about going your own way. Wait! Where are you going? That's it. Thank you.